The massive holographic display flickered to life in the center of the Galactic Council chamber, showing a small blue planet spinning peacefully in the void. Admiral Korvac's three eyes narrowed as he studied the image, his clawed fingers drumming against the metallic surface of his presentation podium. "This is Earth," Korvac announced to the assembled delegates, his voice carrying the rough growl typical of his species. "Home to the humans. Population, 8 billion. Orbital defenses, none. Energy shields, none. Battle fleets, none." A murmur rippled through the circular chamber as representatives from 47 different species leaned forward in their seats. The Talar Empire had a reputation for thorough reconnaissance, and Admiral Korvac was known for his aggressive expansion strategies. If he was presenting a target this openly, there had to be something unusual about it. "The planet sits in what they call the Sol system," Korvac continued, manipulating the hologram to zoom out and show the surrounding space. "No defensive satellites, no weapon platforms, no patrol routes. By all standard military assessments, this world should have been conquered centuries ago." Delegate Prime Minister Lyra of the peaceful Altarian Union raised her hand, her pale blue skin shimmering slightly under the chamber's lights. "Admiral? If this world is so defenseless, why? Hasn't your empire or any other aggressive species claimed it? Surely such an easy prize would have been taken by now." Korvac's expression darkened. "That, honored delegate, is exactly why we're here today. 7 different conquest fleets have been sent to Earth over the past 300 years. 5 from various pirate organizations, 2 from legitimate military powers." He paused dramatically. None returned. The chamber erupted in concerned chatter. Ancient Counselor Thorn of the Valdris slowly rose from his seat, his elderly frame supported by an anti-gravity cane. As one of the oldest beings in the galaxy, his words carried significant weight. "Young Admiral," Thorn's voice wheezed through the chamber's translation system, "there are whispers from the deep space trade routes. Stories that make even the most hardened mercenaries refuse contracts in that region of space. What exactly happened to those fleets?" Korvac manipulated his display again, showing empty star charts where the missing fleets should have returned. "Unknown. No distress signals, no debris fields, no survivors. They simply vanished." He gestured toward the peaceful image of Earth. Yet long-range scans show the planet continues its normal activities. Cities function, ships come and go. The humans appear completely unaware that anyone has ever tried to attack them. Delegate Commander Quinn of the Nexari Defense Corps stood up, her insectoid features clicking with agitation. "Perhaps they have cloaked defenses, technology we cannot detect." "We considered that possibility," Korvac replied. "My scouts have monitored their communications for months. The humans discuss their military capabilities openly. They have primitive nuclear weapons, simple aircraft, and ground vehicles that would be considered antiques by galactic standards. Their most advanced space technology barely allows them to reach their own moon consistently." The Altarian delegate looked puzzled. "Then how do you explain the missing fleets?" Before Korvac could answer, a new voice spoke from the upper galleries. Ambassador Vel of the Merchant Guild Federation had been quietly observing the discussion. His species rarely involved themselves in military matters, preferring to focus on trade and commerce. "If I may," Vel said, his voice carrying a slight tremor, "the Guild has unofficial policies regarding Earth. We avoid that system entirely." All eyes turned toward the merchant. "Why?" asked Prime Minister Lyra. Vel seemed uncomfortable with the attention. "Our deep space traders occasionally encounter beings from that region, usually at neutral trading posts near the Outer Rim. The humans seem friendly enough, but—" He paused, searching for the right words. "There are stories, tales of what humans call history. The traders who interact with them come back changed, nervous. They refuse to discuss details, but they all agree on one thing: humanity should not be disturbed." Counselor Thorn nodded slowly. The Valdris have similar experiences. Our explorers made contact with human vessels several centuries ago. The encounters were peaceful, even pleasant. But our crews returned with recommendations that we maintain a respectful distance from Earth. Recommendations? Admiral Korvac pressed. What kind of recommendations? The ancient counselor was quiet for a long moment before responding. The kind that come from beings who have glimpsed something they never want to see again. Something that makes them grateful for humanity's apparent isolation and contentment with their single world. Delegate Captain Rex of the scientific vessel Harbinger had been silent throughout the discussion, but now he stood. His species, the Zorvan, were known for their analytical approach to problems and their advanced scientific capabilities. Honored Council, Rex began. This mystery has obvious scientific merit. Rather than continue to speculate based on rumors and whispers, perhaps we should conduct a proper investigation. My crew specializes in xenobiology and cultural analysis. We could approach Earth openly, under the banner of peaceful scientific exchange. Admiral Korvac's laugh was bitter. Captain, 7 military fleets have vanished near that planet. What makes you think a science vessel would fare any better? Because, Rex replied calmly, those were conquest fleets. They approached with hostile intent. Perhaps the key to understanding Earth's defenses lies not in military might, but in peaceful contact. If the humans are truly as primitive and defenseless as they appear, they should welcome peaceful visitors. Prime Minister Lyra nodded approvingly. The Altarian Union supports Captain Rex's proposal. Scientific investigation serves the greater good of all species. Counselor Thorne raised his anti-gravity cane to signal his agreement. The Valdris concur, but we recommend extreme caution. Approach openly, document everything, and maintain constant communication with this council. Admiral Korvac looked around the chamber, noting the general approval for the scientific mission. His military mind still couldn't accept that a seemingly primitive world could pose any real threat. But the evidence was undeniable. Something was protecting Earth, and understanding that something had become a matter of galactic security. Very well, he conceded, but I insist on certain conditions. Captain Rex's vessel will be equipped with the most advanced sensors and defensive systems available. A small escort fleet will remain at the edge of the system, ready to retreat, and report if anything goes wrong. And at the first sign of danger, the mission is aborted. Captain Rex inclined his head respectfully. Acceptable conditions, Admiral. My crew will begin preparations immediately. As the council session concluded, and delegates began filing out of the chamber, quiet conversations continued in small groups. The mystery of Earth had captured everyone's attention, but underneath the scientific curiosity was a deeper current of unease. Ambassador Vell lingered near the central display, staring at the peaceful blue world spinning in the hologram. A fellow merchant approached him, curious about his earlier comments. You seem to know more about these humans than you shared with the council, the merchant observed. Vell nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the Earth's image. There are things that should not be spoken of openly, stories that might cause panic if they spread beyond the merchant crews who witnessed them. He turned away from the display. I hope Captain Rex finds only peaceful farmers and artists when he arrives at Earth. For all our sakes, I hope that's all he finds. The communication array buzzed with incoming signals as Captain Rex's science vessel Harbinger approached the edge of Earth's solar system. Lieutenant Nala, the ship's xenobiology specialist, monitored the various frequencies while Rex studied, the tactical display showing their escort fleet maintaining position at a safe distance. Captain, Nala announced, her voice filled with surprise, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's in multiple languages, and they're welcoming us. Rex moved to the communication station, his 4 arms working efficiently across the control panels. The message was being repeated in dozens of different languages, but the universal translator was handling the conversion smoothly. "Greetings, visitors from beyond our world," the pleasant female voice said through the speakers. "This is Dr. Anna Webb, representing Earth's Department of Xenobiological Affairs. We've been monitoring your approach and would like to extend an invitation for peaceful contact. If you're interested in learning about our world and sharing information about yours, please respond on this frequency. We have coffee ready, and we're looking forward to meeting you." The bridge fell silent. Rex's crew exchanged glances, unsure how to process such a casual and friendly first contact protocol. Most species either greeted unknown visitors with suspicion or formal diplomatic procedures. The humans sounded like they were inviting friends over for a social gathering. "Dr. Webb," Rex responded carefully. "This is Captain Rex of the scientific vessel Harbinger, representing the Galactic Council. We come in peace, seeking to understand your world and establish peaceful relations between our peoples." "That's wonderful, Captain Rex," came the immediate reply. "Would you prefer to meet in orbit, or would you like to visit our planet directly? We have a lovely facility in Colorado that's perfect for first contact situations. The mountain air is refreshing, and the view is spectacular. Plus, our cafeteria makes excellent sandwiches." Rex looked at his tactical officer with confusion. Everything about this interaction defied standard first contact procedures. No species was this trusting with unknown aliens, especially ones arriving in obvious military vessels. "Dr. Webb, are you certain it's safe for us to visit your planet's surface? Our species may have different atmospheric requirements." Dr. Webb's laugh came through the speakers, warm and genuinely amused. "Oh, don't worry about that. We've prepared environmental suits for various possible physiologies. We're quite good at adapting to different needs. Besides, if you can survive in space, you can probably handle our atmosphere with minimal assistance." Within hours, Rex found himself walking through a facility that looked more like a mountain resort than a military installation. Dr. Webb met them at the landing platform, a middle-aged human with graying hair and an infectious smile. She wore simple clothes and carried what appeared to be a primitive tablet device. "Welcome to Earth," she said, extending her hand in what Rex learned was a human greeting gesture. "I hope your journey wasn't too difficult. Space travel can be exhausting." As they toured the facility, Rex couldn't help but notice how casually the humans treated their alien visitors. Staff members waved cheerfully as they passed, some stopping to ask questions about their home worlds. Children from a nearby school had apparently been brought in to meet them, giggling and asking if they had any cool alien technology to show. "This is highly irregular," Rex confided to Lieutenant Nala during a brief private moment. "Most species maintain strict security protocols during first contact." "I've been running continuous scans, Captain," Nala replied quietly. "The strange thing is, I'm not detecting any hidden weapons or defense systems. This really appears to be exactly what it seems, a peaceful research facility." Dr. Webb overheard their conversation and approached with 2 cups of the beverage humans called coffee. "I hope you don't mind me asking, but you seem nervous. Is this your first peaceful first contact experience?" Rex accepted the offered drink, carefully. "Dr. Webb, most species in the galaxy maintain significant defensive measures when meeting unknown beings. Your openness is unusual." "Really?" Dr. Webb looked genuinely surprised. "That seems like it would make communication much more difficult. We've always believed that trust has to start somewhere, so why not start with hospitality?" She gestured toward a window overlooking a valley filled with what appeared to be recreational facilities. "Besides, what's the worst that could happen? If you turned out to be hostile, we'd figure something out." That afternoon, Dr. Webb took them to observe what she called typical human recreational activities. They visited a facility where humans were engaged in something called rock climbing, scaling vertical stone faces using only their hands and feet, secured by thin ropes that looked far too fragile for the task. Rex watched in amazement as humans of various ages, including some that appeared to be elderly by human standards, casually ascended surfaces that would challenge his species' most advanced mountaineering equipment. "This is considered recreational?" he asked Dr. Webb. "Oh yes," she replied cheerfully. "Rock climbing is quite popular. It's good exercise and helps build problem-solving skills. Of course, this is just the beginner area. The serious climbers prefer the more challenging peaks, but those are a bit too dangerous for a casual visit." Lieutenant Nala was taking detailed biological readings with her scanner, trying to understand how human physiology allowed for such feats. The readings were confusing. Human bone density was far higher than their peaceful behavior suggested, and their muscle efficiency ratings were off the charts. Later, they attended what Dr. Webb described as a friendly local competition, a gathering where humans engaged in various physical challenges. Rex watched humans casually lift objects that weighed several times their body weight, run distances that would exhaust most galactic species, and engage in complex tactical scenarios that resembled military training exercises. "These are just regular citizens?" Rex asked, observing a human female easily defeat 3 opponents simultaneously in what appeared to be a combat sport. "Oh yes," Dr. Webb nodded. "Emma there is actually a teacher at the local elementary school. She just enjoys martial arts as a hobby, says it helps her stay in shape." As the day continued, Rex began noticing more unusual details. Human children played games that involved complex strategic thinking and physical challenges that would be considered military training by most species. Adults casually discussed scenarios involving natural disasters, equipment failures, and resource scarcity, as if such planning was normal conversation. During dinner, Dr. Webb asked about their home worlds, and Rex found himself describing the peaceful, controlled environments where his species lived. Dr. Webb listened with interest, occasionally asking questions about how they handled various challenges. "What do you do when your technology fails?" she asked innocently. "We have backup systems," Rex replied. "Multiple redundancies ensure that critical failures are virtually impossible." "But what if everything failed at once? Say due to a natural disaster or equipment malfunction?" Rex considered this carefully. "That would be extremely problematic. Our society depends heavily on our technology for basic survival needs." Dr. Webb nodded thoughtfully. "That makes sense. We tend to approach things differently here. Most humans learn multiple skills just in case technology isn't available. Basic mechanical repair, food production, navigation without computers, that sort of thing. Our ancestors had to be pretty adaptable to survive on this planet." That evening, as Rex prepared his daily report for the Galactic Council, he found himself struggling to explain what he'd observed. The humans appeared to be exactly what they claimed: peaceful, friendly beings interested in scientific exchange and cultural understanding. Yet something about their casual competence in physical challenges and their matter-of-fact approach to survival scenarios suggested capabilities that didn't match their seemingly primitive technology. Lieutenant Nala approached with her biological analysis reports, looking troubled. "Captain, these readings don't make sense. Human physiology suggests they should be capable of feats far beyond what we've observed today. Their bone structure, muscle density, and neural processing speeds indicate capabilities that rival some of the galaxy's most formidable warrior species." Rex looked out the window at the peaceful valley below, where humans were gathering around, fires and sharing food, their laughter carrying on the evening breeze. "Perhaps their evolution simply took a different path, Lieutenant. Not all strong species choose to be aggressive." "Perhaps," Nala agreed, but her expression remained uncertain. "Though I can't help wondering what these humans might be capable of if they ever decided to stop being so friendly." Rex filed his report that night, describing successful first contact with a peaceful, hospitable species. But as he drifted off to sleep in the comfortable quarters the humans had prepared for him, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was much more to understand about Earth and its inhabitants. The roar of 20,000 human voices filled the massive arena as Dr. Webb led Captain Rex and his crew to their seats. The structure itself impressed Rex, built without the advanced materials his species would use, yet somehow managing to house such a large gathering safely. "This is quite an impressive facility for what you call entertainment," Rex observed, noting the complex engineering required to support the crowds. Dr. Webb smiled as she handed him what she called a program. A simple paper document explaining the evening's events. "The humans in this region take their mixed martial arts quite seriously. Tonight is actually a relatively small event. Wait until you see what we do for the really popular sports." Rex studied the program, trying to understand the various categories and rules. The competitions appeared to involve individual humans engaging in what could only be described as ritualized combat. His universal translator was having difficulty with some of the technical terms. "These humans fight each other for entertainment?" Lieutenant Nala asked, her scanner detecting elevated heart rates and stress hormones from the excited crowd. "Oh, it's not really fighting," Dr. Webb explained casually. "It's more like physical chess. Very technical, lots of strategy involved. The competitors train for years to perfect their techniques." The lights dimmed, and the first pair of competitors entered the octagonal ring in the center of the arena. Rex immediately noticed something unusual about their movement patterns. Both humans moved with a fluid precision that reminded him of the galaxy's most skilled warriors, yet they appeared relaxed and confident. The referee, another human in a striped shirt, gave brief instructions that Rex's translator picked up. The rules seemed designed to prevent serious injury while still allowing for significant physical contact. When the match began, Rex's understanding of human capabilities changed forever. The two competitors moved with speed that Rex's enhanced vision could barely follow. They grappled, struck, and maneuvered with technical precision that would have impressed military academies across the galaxy. But what truly shocked Rex was the casual way they absorbed impacts that should have been incapacitating. "Dr. Webb," Rex said carefully, not wanting to look away from the action, "that human just received a blow to the head that would have rendered most of my species unconscious." "Oh, Tom's got a good chin," Dr. Webb replied matter-of-factly. "He's taken much harder hits than that. Last month he fought a guy who hit like a freight train." Rex watched as one competitor threw the other to the ground with enough force to crack the reinforced flooring, yet the thrown human immediately rolled back to his feet and continued fighting. The crowd cheered appreciatively, clearly viewing this as normal entertainment. "The impact force of that throw registered on my sensors," Lieutenant Nala whispered to Rex. "It exceeded the threshold for lethal trauma by a significant margin." "They're just getting warmed up," Dr. Webb said, overhearing the comment. "Wait until the main event. Danny's been training specifically for this fight for 6 months. He's in the best shape of his life." As the evening progressed, Rex witnessed feat after feat that defied his understanding of biology and physics. Humans, casually shrugging off impacts that would cripple armored soldiers, recovering from injuries that should have ended the matches, and displaying tactical thinking under extreme physical stress that rivaled the best military strategists he'd known. Between matches, Dr. Webb chatted with nearby spectators, introducing Rex and his crew as visiting scientists. The humans were friendly and eager to explain the finer points of the competition, discussing technical aspects with the same enthusiasm Rex's people reserved for quantum physics. "You see how Danny's controlling the distance there?" "One human," Fan explained to Rex. "He's setting up for his signature takedown. The guy's a master at reading his opponent's timing." Rex watched Danny execute a complex series of moves that required split-second timing, spatial awareness, and the ability to adapt to his opponent's counter-strategies in real time. The level of cognitive processing happening while under severe physical stress was remarkable. "This Danny," Rex asked Dr. Webb during a break between rounds, "is he a professional soldier?" Dr. Webb laughed. "Oh no, Danny's a high school math teacher. He just does this on weekends for fun and a little extra money." The implications of that statement hit Rex like a plasma bolt. A mathematics instructor, engaging in combat that would challenge elite warriors, treating it as casual weekend recreation. He looked around the arena with new eyes, realizing that every human in attendance could potentially possess similar capabilities. "Dr. Webb," Rex said slowly, "when you mentioned that Earth has a military, where exactly would I find these soldiers?" "Well, that's a bit complicated," she replied thoughtfully. "We have formal military organizations, of course, but honestly, most humans receive some basic training in school. Physical fitness, survival skills, tactical thinking, that sort of thing. It's considered part of a well-rounded education." Lieutenant Nala had been running continuous scans throughout the evening, and her readings were becoming increasingly alarming. "Captain," she whispered, "I'm detecting physiological capabilities in this crowd that exceed our database parameters for known warrior species, and these are supposedly civilians." The main event began, featuring competitors who Dr. Webb described as elite-level athletes. Rex watched in growing amazement as these humans demonstrated capabilities that redefined his understanding of what biological entities could achieve. They moved like liquid, struck like thunder, and absorbed punishment that would destroy military equipment. But perhaps most disturbing was their obvious intelligence and tactical sophistication. These weren't mindless brutes engaging in primitive combat. They were highly trained technicians executing complex strategies while operating at the absolute limits of physical performance. "This is incredible," Rex admitted to Dr. Webb as the match reached its climax. "The level of skill and physical capability on display here surpasses anything I've encountered in my travels." "Oh, this is nothing compared to some of the other sports," Dr. Webb replied casually. "You should see what we do with teams. When humans start working together in organized competition, things get really interesting." After the final match ended, and they were walking back to their transport, Rex found himself processing what he'd witnessed. The humans had invited alien visitors to observe what they casually described as entertainment, but what Rex had seen was a demonstration of capabilities that would make any military planner reassess their understanding of Earth's defensive potential. "Dr. Webb," he said carefully, "I'm curious about Earth's formal military capabilities. How do they compare to what we've seen here tonight?" Dr. Webb paused thoughtfully. "Well, that's an interesting question. These fighters are certainly impressive, but they're focused on individual competition within strict rules. Military operations involve different skills: teamwork, equipment utilization, strategic planning on larger scales." She smiled. "Plus, military training tends to be a bit more intensive. The goal isn't entertainment, after all." Rex felt a chill run through his system. If what he'd witnessed tonight represented humans at play, engaging in recreational competition with safety rules and referees to prevent serious injury, what would humans trained specifically for warfare be capable of? That night, as he prepared his report for the Galactic Council, Rex found himself struggling to find adequate words to describe his observations. How could he explain that humanity's idea of weekend entertainment involved casual displays of combat capability that exceeded most species' elite warriors? Lieutenant Nala approached with her completed biological analysis, her expression troubled. "Captain, I've triple-checked these readings. The humans we observed tonight were operating at efficiency levels that should be impossible without significant technological enhancement. Yet my scans detected no artificial augmentation whatsoever." "Are you suggesting that these capabilities are natural?" Rex asked. "I'm suggesting," Nala replied carefully, "that we may need to reconsider our assessment of human evolution. These beings didn't develop their abilities through technology or genetic manipulation. They're naturally occurring biological entities that happen to possess capabilities that most of the galaxy would consider supernatural." Rex looked out at the peaceful city lights below, where millions of humans were settling down for the night after their weekend recreation. Somewhere among those lights were mathematics teachers who could defeat elite warriors, engineers who could absorb impacts that would destroy machinery, and children who were being educated in skills that most species considered advanced military training. For the first time since arriving at Earth, Rex began to understand why 7 conquest fleets had vanished without a trace. The question wasn't whether humans had hidden defenses protecting their world. The question was whether anyone in the galaxy was qualified to attack a planet full of beings who considered tonight's demonstration of combat prowess to be casual entertainment. Dr. Webb noticed the subtle changes in her alien visitors over breakfast the next morning. Captain Rex seemed more cautious, his movements more deliberate, while Lieutenant Nala kept running discreet scans with her equipment. Their casual friendliness from the first day had been replaced by something that looked almost like wariness. "You both seem a bit tense this morning," Dr. Webb observed, pouring herself another cup of coffee. "Did you not sleep well? Sometimes the mountain air takes getting used to." Rex exchanged a glance with Nala before responding carefully. "Dr. Webb, last night's entertainment was quite educational. We're still processing what we observed." "Ah," Dr. Webb nodded with understanding. "Mixed martial arts can be pretty intense if you're not used to it. I probably should have started you off with something gentler like baseball or tennis." She paused thoughtfully. Though actually, some of our tennis players hit the ball at speeds that might seem alarming to visitors. Lieutenant Nala looked up from her scanner readings. "Dr. Webb, I hope you don't mind me asking, but my equipment detected physical capabilities in your population that seem inconsistent with your peaceful society. How do you explain such development in what appears to be a non-aggressive species?" Dr. Webb smiled, apparently pleased by the question. "That's a great observation, and it's actually something we're quite proud of. Earth has always been what we call a challenging environment. Our evolution was shaped by some pretty demanding circumstances." She stood up from the table. "Would you like to see some historical documentation? It might help explain how we developed our current capabilities." Rex found himself being led to what Dr. Webb called the Multimedia Archive Center, a facility filled with screens, computers, and storage devices that seemed primitive by galactic standards, but functioned with impressive efficiency. "Doctor," Webb settled them into comfortable chairs and began queuing up various files. "I thought we'd start with some basic planetary history," she said, manipulating the display controls. "This will help you understand the environment that shaped human development." The first images showed Earth in its early geological periods. Massive volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, ice ages that covered continents, and climate shifts that would have sterilized most worlds. Dr. Webb narrated casually, as if discussing minor weather fluctuations. "As you can see, Earth has always been pretty dynamic. The life forms that survived here had to be extremely adaptable. Humans are actually relatively recent arrivals, but we inherited a lot of useful traits from our evolutionary predecessors." Rex watched footage of natural disasters that would have challenged his species' most advanced emergency response systems. Hurricanes with wind speeds that exceeded spaceship velocity ratings, earthquakes that reshaped entire continents, and volcanic eruptions that blocked sunlight for years at a time. "Your species evolved on a world that regularly experiences planetary-scale catastrophes?" Nala asked, her voice filled with disbelief. "Oh, yes," Dr. Webb replied cheerfully. "Though, we don't really think of them as catastrophes, just weather. Humans have always had to deal with earthquakes, tsunamis, tornadoes, blizzards, droughts, floods, the usual stuff." She clicked to the next series of files. "But the really interesting part is how we developed socially." What followed was a comprehensive overview of human history that left Rex's crew speechless. Dr. Webb presented wars involving hundreds of millions of combatants, conflicts that spanned entire continents, and weapons development that progressed, from simple tools to devices capable of destroying planets. "This period we call World War I, Dr. Webb explained, showing footage of massive armies engaged in industrial-scale combat. about 20 million casualties over 4 years. It was considered pretty devastating at the time, though honestly, the Second World War made it look small by comparison. Rex stared at images of human cities being completely destroyed and rebuilt. Populations relocating across continents and industrial facilities that produced weapons at rates that would challenge galactic manufacturing capabilities. Dr. Webb, he said slowly, these conflicts, they involved your entire species? Well, not everyone directly, she replied thoughtfully. But most human societies were involved in some capacity. It was actually quite remarkable from an organizational standpoint. The logistics alone were impressive, coordinating millions of people across multiple continents, managing resource production and distribution, maintaining supply lines across vast distances. Lieutenant Nala was studying the technical specifications of various weapon systems that humans had developed. These nuclear devices, they appear to be capable of destroying entire cities. Oh yes, Dr. Webb nodded. We developed quite a few of those. Still have them, actually, though we don't use them anymore. Turned out they were more trouble than they were worth for most applications. She pulled up another file. These days, we prefer more precise solutions when problems arise. The archive continued with documentation of human achievements in exploration, engineering, and problem-solving under extreme conditions. Rex watched humans casually working in environments that would require his species' most advanced protective equipment, deep ocean trenches, active volcanoes, polar regions, and eventually space itself. Your people regularly work in conditions that would be lethal to most galactic species, Rex observed. Work, play, live, humans are pretty adaptable, Dr. Webb agreed. We had to be. Earth didn't give us much choice in the matter. She clicked to a new section. This might interest you. It's documentation of what we call extreme sports, recreational activities humans engage in for fun. Rex watched humans deliberately placing themselves in situations that his tactical computers classified as certain death scenarios, jumping from aircraft without propulsion systems, scaling vertical ice formations, and navigating whitewater, rapids in primitive vessels. The humans in the videos appeared to be enjoying themselves immensely. They do this voluntarily? Nala asked in amazement. Oh, yes. These activities are quite popular, Dr. Webb replied. Humans have always been drawn to challenges. If something seems impossible or dangerous, someone will inevitably want to try it. She paused the video on an image of a human suspended thousands of meters above ground with nothing but a fabric wing. Actually, that's partly why we've never been very interested in conquering other worlds. Earth keeps us pretty busy, Rex found, himself reconsidering everything he thought he knew about warfare and planetary defense. Dr. Webb, when you say Earth keeps you busy, what exactly do you mean? Dr. Webb pulled up a real-time global monitoring system that showed current conditions across Earth. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic activity, forest fires, and severe weather systems were occurring simultaneously across multiple continents. Well, there's always something happening, she said matter-of-factly. Right now, we're dealing with a Category 4 hurricane in the Atlantic, earthquake swarms in the Pacific Ring of Fire, drought conditions in Australia, flooding in South America, and a volcanic eruption in Iceland. Pretty typical Tuesday, actually. The casual way she described planetary-scale disasters as routine challenges made Rex realize something profound about human psychology. His species would consider any one of those events a major crisis requiring massive resource allocation and emergency response. Humans apparently dealt with multiple such crises simultaneously as part of normal life. Dr. Webb, Rex said carefully, has your species ever considered what you might accomplish if you focused your capabilities on expansion beyond Earth? Dr. Webb was quiet for a moment, considering the question seriously. You know, we've thought about it, but honestly, we've been too busy dealing with things here to give much attention to other worlds. Besides, she smiled, Earth has spent millions of years teaching us how to survive and adapt. We're not sure anywhere else would be challenging enough to keep us interested." That evening, Rex transmitted his most detailed report yet to the Galactic Council. As he compiled the day's observations, he began to understand the true nature of the mystery surrounding Earth. The planet wasn't defended by hidden weapons or advanced technology. It was defended by a population of beings who had been forged by one of the most hostile environments in the galaxy into something that made conquest not just difficult, but pointless. Lieutenant Nala approached him as he finished the transmission. "Captain, I've been analyzing the historical data Dr. Webb shared with us. If even 10% of it is accurate, humans have engaged in conflicts that dwarf the largest wars in recorded galactic history. And they consider that ancient history," Rex replied thoughtfully. Dr. Webb mentioned that they haven't had a real war in decades, and that humans are getting soft. The implications hung in the air between them. If humans at their current soft state could casually demonstrate the capabilities they'd witnessed at the sporting event, what had they been like during their historical periods of active warfare? Rex looked out at the peaceful valley below, where humans were going about their evening activities, walking dogs, playing with children, tending gardens. Every one of them had been shaped by evolutionary pressures that would have eliminated most galactic species entirely. Every one of them lived on a world that regularly generated challenges that would be classified as military-grade threats elsewhere. For the first time, Rex began to suspect that the 7 missing conquest fleets hadn't been destroyed by human defenses. They had encountered humanity, assessed the true scope of what they were facing, and made the rational decision to find easier targets elsewhere. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within hours of receiving Captain Rex's final report from Earth. The massive chamber buzzed with urgent conversations as delegates from across the galaxy gathered to discuss what many were calling the most significant intelligence revelation in centuries. Admiral Korvac stood at the central podium, his usual aggressive demeanor replaced by something approaching respect, mixed with genuine concern. The holographic display behind him showed compilation footage from Rex's mission. Humans engaged in activities that redefined the Council's understanding of biological capabilities. "Honored delegates," Korvac began, his voice carrying unusual gravity, "Captain Rex's investigation has revealed why no conquest fleet has ever successfully claimed Earth. The humans are not hiding advanced defenses or secret weapons. They are the defense. They are the weapon." Prime Minister Lyra of the Alterian Union leaned forward in her seat, studying the footage of humans casually engaging in activities that would challenge her species' elite athletes. "Admiral, are you suggesting that an entire planet of beings possesses capabilities that rival our most advanced warriors?" "I'm suggesting something far more significant," Korvac replied. "Captain Rex's biological scans indicate that what we observed represents humans at rest, engaging in recreational activities. Their actual military capabilities remain theoretical, but the implications are—" He paused, searching for appropriate words. "Concerning." Captain Rex himself took the podium next, his usually analytical demeanor showing signs of strain from his experiences on Earth. "Honored Council, I must begin with a confession. My initial report classifications were inadequate. What we encountered on Earth requires a complete revision of our threat assessment protocols." The chamber fell silent as Rex activated his presentation. The humans showed us their historical archives. What they describe as ancient conflicts involved casualty figures that exceed the total populations of most member worlds. Their weapons development progressed from primitive tools to planet-destroying capabilities in roughly 10,000 years. Delegate Commander Quinn of the Nexari Defense Corps raised her hand. "Captain, surely you're not suggesting that a species could develop such capabilities naturally?" "That's exactly what I'm suggesting," Rex replied firmly. "Earth is what the humans call a death world. Everything that evolved there had to survive conditions that would sterilize most planets. Constant natural disasters, predators that would challenge our military equipment, and environmental pressures that made adaptation a requirement for survival. Ancient Counselor Thorn slowly rose from his seat, his anti-gravity cane humming softly. "Captain Rex, your findings confirm what some of us have suspected for centuries. Perhaps it's time we shared what we've learned through our own encounters with humanity." The elderly Valdris delegate activated his own presentation system, showing records that dated back several hundred years. The Valdris first encountered human vessels at a trading station near the Rigel system. The humans were friendly, curious, and seemingly primitive by our standards. Our crews shared meals with them, exchanged cultural information, and established what we thought was a routine first contact. Thorne's presentation showed recordings of those early meetings, humans and Valdris sharing food and stories in a peaceful space station environment. The problems began when our crew asked the humans about their military capabilities. They assumed we were curious about defense strategies, so they began sharing what they called theoretical scenarios for protecting their homeworld. The chamber watched in growing amazement as the recordings showed humans casually discussing strategies that involved weaponizing their planet's geology, turning asteroid fields into kinetic bombardment systems, and coordinating their nuclear arsenals for maximum strategic effect. What disturbed the Valdris wasn't the sophistication of the plans, but the casual way humans discussed them, as if such preparations were obvious and routine. The humans treated planetary defense as an intellectual exercise, Thorne continued. They seemed genuinely puzzled by our crew's growing discomfort. From their perspective, they were simply sharing interesting tactical problems and potential solutions. Ambassador Vell of the Merchant Guild Federation stood up, his earlier nervousness now making sense to the assembled delegates. The Guild has been maintaining unofficial policies regarding Earth for good reason. Our traders who encounter humans at neutral stations come back with stories that we've been hoping were exaggerations. Vell activated his own presentation, showing incident reports from various trading posts. Human merchants casually mention surviving what they call natural disasters that would qualify as military attacks by our standards. They discuss survival techniques that assume the complete failure of all technology and infrastructure. Most disturbing, they treat these capabilities as normal childhood education. The report showed humans describing earthquake survival as basic elementary school curriculum, discussing flood evacuation procedures that assumed government collapse, and mentioning tornado shelters that doubled as nuclear fallout protection. What the humans considered basic civil preparedness, the rest of the galaxy would classify as military survival training. There's more, Vell continued reluctantly. Our traders report that humans ask about galactic conflicts with genuine academic interest. Not because they want to participate, but because they're curious about different species' approaches to warfare. They treat military strategy like we treat art history, an interesting cultural subject to study in their spare time. Captain Rex took the podium again, his expression grim. The humans showed us what they call sports entertainment. What we observed were demonstrations of combat capability that exceeded our database parameters for known warrior species. When I asked Dr. Webb about their military, she laughed and said that what we'd seen was humans getting soft because they hadn't had a real war in decades. The implications of that statement rippled through the chamber like a shockwave. Several delegates began urgent consultations with their military advisors, while others pulled up their own classified files on Earth encounters. Admiral Korvac returned to the podium, his expression thoughtful. I believe we need to acknowledge a truth that many of us have been avoiding. The 7 missing conquest fleets weren't destroyed by human defenses. They encountered humanity, assessed the situation, and made the rational decision to find targets elsewhere. Are you suggesting that entire military fleets retreated without engaging? Prime Minister Lyra asked incredulously. I'm suggesting that competent military commanders recognized a no-win scenario when they saw one, Korvac replied. Consider the strategic implications. Earth has 8 billion inhabitants, each one potentially capable of the physical feats Captain Rex documented. Their planet regularly generates challenges that would cripple our most advanced military equipment. They've had thousands of years to perfect survival and warfare techniques while fighting each other and their environment. Counselor Thorne nodded slowly. The Valdris military analyzed the strategic situation centuries ago. Even if conquest were possible, occupation would be impossible. How do you control a population where every individual could potentially resist, with capabilities that match your elite forces? The chamber erupted in urgent discussions as the full scope of the situation became clear. Earth wasn't protected by hidden technology or secret alliances. It was protected by the simple fact that attacking it would be the strategic equivalent of deliberately flying into a star. Ambassador Vell raised his hand for attention. Honored. Council, perhaps we should consider a different approach entirely. The humans seemed genuinely interested in peaceful cultural exchange. Dr. Webb invited Captain Rex to return any time, and she mentioned something about hosting a galactic barbecue competition to bring different species together. Captain Rex couldn't help but smile at the memory. Dr. Webb was excited about the possibility of sharing human cooking techniques with other species. She seemed particularly interested in learning about different atmospheric requirements for outdoor food preparation. Prime Minister Lyra looked around the chamber, noting the mixture of amazement and relief on her colleagues' faces. So we're dealing with a species that could potentially challenge the entire galaxy, but they're more interested in hosting dinner parties? It appears so, Rex confirmed. The humans seem genuinely content with their single world. Earth provides them with sufficient challenges to keep them occupied, and they view the rest of the galaxy with friendly curiosity rather than expansion ambitions. Admiral Korvac made a decision that would reshape galactic policy for generations to come. I propose that we formally classify Earth as a protected cultural reserve, with the understanding that this protection flows both ways. Humanity remains undisturbed, and the galaxy remains safe from what they might become if genuinely threatened. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, new navigation protocols were distributed to every spacefaring civilization, officially designating the Sol system as off-limits to military operations, while welcoming peaceful scientific and cultural exchange. As the council session concluded, Captain Rex found himself looking forward to Dr. Webb's proposed barbecue competition. The humans had extended genuine friendship to the galaxy, and perhaps that friendship was worth more than any conquest could have been. Ambassador Vell lingered after the session, approaching Rex with a thoughtful expression. Captain, do you think the humans realize how remarkable they are by galactic standards? Rex considered the question carefully, remembering Dr. Webb's genuine surprise at their defensive assumptions and her casual mentions of planetary-scale challenges. I don't think they do, Ambassador, and perhaps that's the most remarkable thing about them. They've achieved capabilities that most species would consider supernatural, and they think it's perfectly normal. As news of the Council's decision spread across the galaxy, a new understanding emerged among spacefaring civilizations. Earth wasn't just another world to be avoided or protected. It was home to beings who had been shaped by forces that made them simultaneously the most potentially dangerous and genuinely peaceful species the galaxy had ever encountered. Dr. Webb received the news of Earth's new status with characteristic human enthusiasm, immediately beginning plans for the first interstellar cultural exchange program. Her first priority was ensuring that visiting aliens would have comfortable accommodations and properly prepared food for their physiological needs. The galaxy had found its most unlikely guardians in a species that treated friendship as seriously as they treated survival, and who considered both to be perfectly normal parts of daily life.